What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great day. We are here to talk some birds, some NFL free agency. That's right, just a couple of weeks away here, and I'm getting excited for it. Now, you've seen some of the reserve future signings, some of these guys that obviously, we're on guys, our team's practice squad, things like that. So they won't be hitting free agency. I see a lot of people getting worked up by some of these signings. Look, man, free agency will start. Then you'll see who the Eagles sign, who they draft, and we'll talk about all of that here tonight. So appreciate all of you taking the time, hitting that like button, subscribing. But let's take a look here at the tight end position. We're going through this free agent series. So hopefully you checked out the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, pumping up tight ends this weekend. We will have the offensive line. Then we're jumping into the defense. But I've got the cap space and draft picks for the Eagles, where I think they should be focusing at each position. Then we'll look at that position, which is tight end tonight, who we've got on the current roster, the reserve future contracts, the free agents at that position. Then, of course, every single free agent in the NFL with the top 17 fits. I don't know how I went from 5 to 10 to 15 to 7. Every time I'm like, well, this guy's intriguing. I do want to talk about this. So, well, let's get it started, baby. So, again, thank you for tuning in. Love to hear your thoughts down below. But let's jump right into it with the Eagles ammo. And you see this at the beginning of every show just to give you an idea that the Eagles do have cap space. I've shown you the 10 ways the Eagles can create more. We can have up to 60 mil. Let's go. But right now, around 20 mil. In the future, you have 23 mil at 2025. And then in 2026, you have almost 70 mil. So, look, you could sign those contracts with the dummy years added on, where you could spread out those, it's the signing bonus being spread out, but really what they're doing is lowering the cap hit. That's what you need to know. But a lot of these positions, I think the Eagles need to get younger at a good amount of positions here that we will talk about throughout the series. And, in tight end here tonight, I think that this is one of those positions where the Eagles need to look to, draft somebody. Now, you don't have to be one of the top 3, 4, 5 even picks. I mean, go get someone. There are some intriguing prospects. Now, we will talk more about those prospects once we get into the draft series, but let's talk about some of these tight ends that could fill the void, or maybe some of our own. But first, we'll take a look at what the Eagles have on their roster. Obviously, tight end 1, Dallas Goedert. Love this dude. Hopefully, he can stay healthy the entire year. But beyond him, it's Grant Calcaterra. Now, they brought back Noah Togiai and EJ Jenkins. So those practice squad guys from last year will be a part of the summer. They'll have a chance to compete to make this roster. Then you see free agents, Jack Stoll, Albert O, and Jack Stoll is a restricted free agent, so we'll talk about him in a second. But you've got a couple of guys questionable. I think, to me, Albert O walks. You traded for him, but nothing panned out there as that receiving tight end, that F-type tight end we talk about. Calcaterra, not really panning out either. So we'll see. Togiai, Jenkins, we talk about their skill set. Jenkins, that receiving type guy. We'll see if anybody wants to step it up this summer, but I think the Eagles should definitely look in the draft. But again, we're here to talk about the free agents. So let's take a look at some of these guys the Eagles could take a look at if they want to keep someone. Maybe they, walk from someone, whatever may happen. Let's take a look at all of these guys. And I've got the full list here for you. So the top guys, the bottom end guys, everything. And at each position, I try to give you an idea of where I think the Eagles should be focusing. So certain positions, you're not going to see me saying, we got to get this best free agent. I'm not, the media. I'm not out here telling you we got to sign all pros to every position or this team failed. That's just not how the NFL works. So we're going to take a look at all of them and then decide from there. But again, love to hear your thoughts. Let's take a look at first the exclusive rights guys. And you guys remember undrafted Brady Russell this year, right? And then you've got guys like Nick Muse, Quentin Morris, Shane Zylstra, Dylan Cook, Brandon Dillon. These are guys with the 2 accrued season that we talk about each show here that, just for a refresher, these guys are, obviously not draft picks, usually undrafted guys on these deals that haven't even accrued 2 seasons in the NFL. Only 2 seasons. Can't have the 3. The 3 is coming up next with the restricted guys. But essentially, if they are tendered, that exclusive rights, tender there, the player has to essentially sign with that team for the minimum. If they don't, they just don't play. Now, the team doesn't have to tender them. They can allow them to become unrestricted free agents, and we'll see if that happens for any of them. But we let Russell go. Seahawks, actually just took him from us. So some guys there, but probably end up back with those teams. Now, restricted guys, there are multiple tenors. We're talking about the 3 tenors you can put. If the guy was drafted, you could put, that first round, second round, or whatever round they're at. You could put the right of refusal. So therefore, if a team offers them something, you could match it. All kinds of things you can do there. But these guys, a little more complicated. It's not the unrestricted where the guys can just sign wherever they want. The team really has the option what they want to do there, if they want to keep that player or not, or they could allow them to test the waters and see if somebody, and any of these guys can be re-signed by their team. It's just, this is something with the restriction obviously makes it harder to leave if the team wants to make it that way. Now, the unrestricted guys, and those are the guys with like 3 accrued seasons. So you saw Stoll there. Obviously, he was undrafted. So that was a 3-year deal for him. He is a free agent, but hopefully we'll see if we bring him back. But you see these unrestricted free agents here, and they are the guys that have the 4 accrued seasons. They can sign wherever they want. And you got some intriguing names. You saw Hunter Henry. You see him there again. Fant, Schultz, Everett, Troutman. I mean, you got some pretty damn good big names here at tight end. And look, there's some guys that I know some people will like. I'm a fan of. I think there's some other names that I'm intrigued by. Some names I just left off because I wanted to, and I could have made this list even effing longer because there were some intriguing pieces, and don't want to give it away. But you'll see who my top list is. But that was all of the unrestricted free agents you can see. Obviously this team, we've got some needs, and there are a plentiful amount of guys, not only in the draft, but you see free agency here. So maybe you pick up some guys before the draft. That way you know what you're walking into in the draft, or maybe you wait to see who you draft, and then you bring someone in and you see who's left from the tight end pool. But let's talk about these top 17 fits I think Howie Roseman should be looking at here. And I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. But if you have any thoughts before I get into mine, you can tell me. You can wait till after, but I'd love to hear. You got a top 3, a top 5, top 10, top 15, 17, 27, whatever it may be. I'd love to hear. But let's get things started with number 17. And this guy from the reigning Super Bowl champs here, they took down the Niners, good old Chiefs. And look, this will be his 10th season here, and he spent some time with those Niners, actually. Vikings, Jags, played for the Cowboys for a little bit there, but out of Oklahoma, former 4th round pick, and he only started a few games. Obviously, with Travis Kelce, was banged up that first game, and, obviously they sometimes have 12 personnel, depends on who you're starting there, whatever, but Blake Bell, this is what you're looking for in a blocking tight end. He can catch the ball. 5.2 yards per reception, though. But I like the 3.8 yards after contact per reception. So fighting a little bit for the yard. You could get more there, but he's decent. Had a drop from those few targets he got. Had a fumble there as well. So that's why I got him at the bottom. But this is somebody you're looking for, a depth piece here. Again, I'm upgrading in the draft, but I'm looking at tight end 3, 4. If you're trying to clean house and restart behind Goddard or whatever your plans are, Blake Bell could be an option. Now up next, Jeff Swaim, another former Cowboy, Jag, and also a former Titan there. But he was just most recently with Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals there. I'm saying all kinds of stuff that's going to make you hate these players. So, look, he's also going into his 10th season. He's 30 years old and a little bit older, but I'm looking for some veteran help here, 6'4", 260. And look, I think Jeff Swaim, he's improved on his blocking. He's somebody that has at times been good at blocking, and there's times where he just kind of looks like he sucks. So real up and down. But I think that if you're losing Stoll or something like that, this is somebody maybe you possibly are looking to add a veteran. Maybe you go do that. Now, another guy, the same kind of deal. With Ferkser here, he's a good blocker. Somebody like Stoll, you could play him as an H-back, actually. He's a versatile piece here. He can actually catch the ball. I do like Ferkser, but not exactly, somebody that, you're jumping off the page for. Again, this is somebody that could be depth for you here. And he's never had over 387 yards was the most he's had in the season. So it's not like he's your top guy here, but you could use him all over the place. And I do like Anthony Ferkser. So got him on the list at number 15 there. Up next, this guy, obviously not living up to that second round, out of Alabama, 25 years old, though. Irv Smith. Obviously not a great year there, 6.4 yards per reception, 3.7 yards after catch per. So better than some of the other guys you just saw, but I think that, he obviously was, you're expecting more from him. But let's, keep in mind the other team he was with, they had Justin Jefferson, so obviously Thielen was there, loaded at receiver. Then you look at the Bengals, clearly they've got Chase and Higgins there. So loaded rooms, got another good tight end there. And, maybe in a new system, stays healthy. Maybe, you unlock something there. But I think that, Irv Smith is somebody who's got enough talent that maybe you take a chance on him. He's a good receiver, a decent blocker. So why not? Alabama guy. And again, I've got him kind of far down here on the list, number 13 or 14, but well, it is what it is. Maybe you take a shot. Now, number 13, I know this is a big name. I know some people will want him higher, but he's kind of just fallen off, to be real with you. He is a good receiver, but just his blocking has sucked as of late. He's going to be 30. And, I know he was called Baby Gronk at one point and, all this raving about him, but you can see here, hey, 10.2 yards per reception. That's good. 5.2 yards after catch per reception. That's good. Only 2 drops there. But I think that, he's not the same guy. But if you want to take a shot on someone, hell, why not? So I've got him here at number 13. And I think that, this is, again, a veteran piece. He's helping you as that receiving type tight end that I do think the Eagles need to add some competition for Calcaterra. They did that last year trying to, with Dan Arnold. Now they, traded for Albert O. And you see that they tried. But look, there are some options out there. And, speaking of older guys that, are receiving type guys, Austin Hooper, he's definitely your F-type tight end, that receiving type guy. He's not great at blocking, let's be real here. But, he's found his way, with the Falcons, Browns, the Titans, now most recently with the Raiders. We got a Stanford sighting again here. You're going to see a lot of Stanford tight ends in the show. You won't see one, though. But look, he's going to be 30 as well. And I know you guys don't want to see these old heads, but I'm talking about depth here. You got to have depth. We're still going to draft. We're still going to get young guys, but I think you kind of need a whole new room here. So I'm adding in free agency and the draft. And, this is a guy that can catch the ball. 9.4 yards per reception, 5.7 yards after catch per reception. 2 broken tackles there. He only had 1 drop. Didn't fumble at all. So that's great. And they had the young man, Michael Mayer, there. They wanted to see what you had. And obviously his quarterback play, not the greatest at a lot of these teams he's played for. So maybe in the right system, next to a guy like Dallas Goedert, you could really unlock something there. But yeah, he is going to be 30. Is what it is. I still think he could be a decent option. Now, at number 11, I've got Old Man River. This dude's about to be 40. Yeah, not 30, 40. That is not a typo there, ladies and gentlemen. I remember this dude. He entered the NFL a year after I graduated high school. That's insane. 6'6", 265, literally going to be 40 into his 19th season here. And I almost didn't even put Mercedes on here, but I was like, dude, I'm not leaving this dude out because he's still balling, still playing well. And yeah, he's not exactly a receiver, but this dude's still one of the best blocking guys in the league. And if you lose someone like Stoll, I'd be kind of pissed because he's young. But if you get Stoll back and you have Mercedes Lewis here, some other guys, this is your Dick Rod. But Dick Rod was more of a receiver guy, Richard Rodgers, that is, for you those of you not familiar with his nickname there. But I think that, a decent option if you're going for Old Man River. Thought I'd throw him on here, and he somehow worked his way up the numbers. So didn't enter my top 10, though, but I am a fan of Lewis. Crazy that he's still going. Proud of that man. Now, at number 10, I know this is probably a weird one for you, but I like Michael Pruitt. He's a versatile tight end here. He's a good blocker, athletic guy, and yeah, he's inconsistent a lot of the time. And I don't know that, with his athleticism and build, his skill set, you would think you just have more grit from him. And I think if you're going to play in Philly, you need that. So I'm not sure that this is exactly the best guy, but 12.2 yards per reception there. You see he had a touchdown last year, 5.7 yards after contact per reception, and no drops. So he did fumble the ball. You don't like that. And, obviously the Falcons, they got Pitts there. You've got another guy there so somehow Pruitt found a way to get some stats there, but out of Southern Illinois there in 2015. So this is going to be his 10th season. He's 31. But again, looking at some of these veterans, and don't worry, we'll get a little younger as we go forward here. But Michael Pruitt got him at number 10. Now, number 9, I know, some people will want him a lot higher for sure. He's a great receiver, but his blocking is atrocious. Now, The reason I've got him further down is I think, he's definitely one of the best free agent tight ends out here. I don't think that the Eagles need to go out and get one of the best free agents, but if you're going to do that, I wouldn't go. I mean, I do like Noah Fant to an extent. You can see, but again, you're talking about crowded rooms here. So he's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They just drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba there. So, man, I think that obviously he's got talent. 12.9 yards per reception, 5.5 yards after contact per reception, one drop, no fumbles. Look, very talented. I think if the price was right, I would say, oh, hell yeah. But I think he'll be going elsewhere. So don't have him as a top fit. Remember, this isn't the best out there. This is the top fits for the Eagles. Now, at number 8 is another one where Gerald Everett, I don't think that he's going to get like top money or anything. He's going to be 30 going into his 8th season here out of South Alabama, or South Alabama. And he's a former second rounder. Now, they say a little undersized, but I think he plays with that grit that it doesn't matter, man. And he is a great receiver. He's improved every year as a blocker. 8.1 yards per reception, 5.4 yards after contact per reception, had 3 touchdowns. Now, they've got Parham there as well. So Keenan Allen, and well, most of those guys are banged up a lot of time, but Everett provided a security blanket for Herbert. And I think that he's still got a lot of talent, going to be 30. But man, if you're looking for that Richard Rodgers replacement, man, there he is right there. So why not? Would not be against that at all. Now, number 7, I kind of wanted to have him higher, but I'm looking at it from a perspective of improving the roster. And I think that you want to bring back Jack Stoll. Like, I really do feel that way. But he's not like your tight end 2. This is your tight end 3. And look, man, I'm a fan of Jack Stoll. You guys all know that. When he was an undrafted signing by us, I was pumped about it. He's got those soft hands. He's a strong dude. He blocks well, but he does lack that speed, agility. He has not a great release, but I do like him. It's not, and I'm not knocking him. He has that H-back role we talk about. He can block and do things that you want from a tight end. But I just think that, there are ways to improve that room, and I wanted to do that last year. So I'm not focused really on tight end 3 right now. I'm focused on tight end 2. So I do have him at number 7, but I think there are ways to improve this roster, and I want to look at that more than I want to look at, retaining our tight end 3. So get it done, Howie. I do want Jack Stoll back. But let's talk about some of these other guys like Adam Troutman, who this dude, I think he's got the skill set to really be something special out there. And, he's one of those F-type receiving type tight ends, and he's got to work on his blocking and, a bunch of other things. But he's coming into his 5th season out of Dayton. He was a former 3rd-round pick by the Saints. Then he went to the Broncos, and he's dealt with some loaded rooms. So I don't know that he's necessarily been given the right opportunity. He had a few touchdowns last year. They had some injuries there. But so he got to start 12 games, 9.3 yards per reception, 4.5 yards after contact per reception, 2 broken tackles there, but no drops, no fumbles. So with his limited 35 targets, 22 catches, he made some things happen. And I think in the right system, he's going to be 28. He would be a really good veteran to have here. So if you get Troutman and Stoll here with Goddard, then you go draft someone. I'm feeling a lot more confident in that room. And you've got some other younger guys that will compete in the summer, but that would make me feel a lot better. Now, getting into the top 5 here, Harrison Bryant at number 5, and I almost had him higher. And you want to talk about undersized. I mean, 6'5", 230, but he's 25 years old, coming into his 5th season out of Florida Atlantic, and a former 4th-round pick. And Harrison Bryant, he's a former offensive tackle, actually. He's that Y-type tight end, that inline guy. That is, what Goddard plays. So I'd have him higher, but we don't really need him exactly. He has good routes, great instincts. He's a tough dude, not the most athletic, and he's, got to refine some things, but obviously the stats aren't jumping off the chart to you, and Joku in front of him there. So clearly, not at the top of the pecking order there, and they run the ball a lot. So this is somebody I think in the right system would be great. And I think, you want to add somebody as a security blanket that would still play well with Goddard. Hell yeah, but you still got to add more of that receiving type guy. Not to say that he can't, be a good receiver, just saying he's not much of that F-type receiving guy that I talk about. So I like Bryant, but now I actually had him at 2 at one point. And then I had this guy, Drew Sample, who I have at number 4. I had him at number 1 at one point, but it's like these guys are very similar to what Dallas Goedert, brings to the table for us. So for me, it's more important you'll see here in a little bit what I'm talking about, but I would not be against Drew Sample. This is a great blocker. He can, match up against man coverage, zone coverage. He really impresses me with his game. And another guy that, loaded receivers. He's, a loaded tight end depth chart. So look, I like this dude. And, there's times he's not exactly like the greatest route runner or, the toughest dude. And that kind of bothers me. So that's why I have him not my top three. But, he could work on his catching a little. He's not, again, you're seeing the stats here. The stats won't, you got to take all of it with a grain of salt. But I think he's got the skill set. He's going to be 28 years old. This will be his sixth year. I think a former second round pick. He has shown he's got the talent there, and I think in the right system, he and Goddard would be great together. Now, this top three, this is really all over the place, I know, but bear with me here. Now, let's look at Colby Parkinson, number 3. You're probably saying to yourself, who the hell is Colby Parkinson? So this is that F-type receiver I'm talking about. The guy, he's 6'7". 251 pounds. He's 25. This will be his 5th season out of Stanford. Oh, former 4th round pick. And another guy, loaded depth chart. And we already talked about one of those Seahawks tight ends in Noah Fant. So you see, he only started one game, but was still able to get 25 catches. And Gino, and he had a nice little connection there for a little while. He had a couple touchdowns there last year, 9.9 yards per reception, 3.4 yards after contact per reception. Had a couple drops, but I think this is a kid that has not been given the opportunity, and it's just clear as day. So he's a good blocker, too. Yeah, he can catch the ball, but I think you could really work with this kid, find something from him, and, work on, a bunch of things with him. And I think then, you need to be more than just that F-type guy. You can't just be. So you continue working on that blocking, and I think he will, and I think he'll continue to get better. I think in the right system, given the opportunity, I think he could go well. You have Goddard, Parkinson, Stoll, and then get someone in the draft. I feel pretty good there. Now, at number 2, this is weird because I had this guy further down because, again, as I mentioned then, like he's probably going to be one of the higher paid guys. But I think if you're going to pay someone, and I don't think that he's going to require too much here, but I think, he could still be one of those top 15 tight ends, but that's not too crazy. I think if you use that 12 personnel, like, I hope that we do, Goddard and Schultz together would be a really nice, and we talk about, a guy that kind of fits the mold. He's another wide type tight end with Goddard, but 6'5", 244. This dude is a great receiver, and he can block too. Now, not the fastest guy, and doesn't exactly get the greatest of separation. Another Stanford tight end. Oh, my God. But you can see 5 touchdowns. That's a loaded room. There were some injuries, but C.J. Stroud was balling, and he and Schultz, he was on my fantasy team. He did pretty damn well, but you can see 88 targets, only 59 catches. He had 3 drops. You don't like that, but 10.8 yards per reception, 4.4 yards after contact per reception. So he can make some plays after the catch too, after contact. So look, he's going to be 28, but I think that this is a very good veteran piece. If you're looking for someone, again, a security blanket that could help you out in a multitude of ways, I think that Dalton Schultz would be a decent option. And I don't think, again, that he would cost you too much. And, there's some guys I haven't mentioned here that you're like, what the hell? Now, Hunter Henry, I think he's going to be the top paid free agent tight end. So to me, I'm good there. Now, there could be cap casualties like Mo Alley Cox or Logan Thomas, and other people could become available. There are guys like Jimmy Graham up there and some old school dudes. And I didn't mention the Stanford Zach Ertz. No, I did not. I like Zach Ertz. I think he's getting older. I think he might retire. But I mentioned some of the older guys. And if Ertz wants to come back, that's great. But he didn't come back and help us last year for the playoff run. So it makes me think that after he was traded, he's not going to. So I left him off the list. I thought about it a bunch, but I would take him back. I love the dude. But, that's up to him. We'll see what he decides to do. But at number 1, you're thinking, okay, you just mentioned all these people. Who the hell is number 1? And you're also thinking, who the hell is Bryson Hopkins? So big shout out to my nephew, Bryson, but let's go. We've got ourselves an athletic F-type tight end, great route running for, where he's at. And I think that, he's 26 years old. He's got to work on some things, man. He's not the strongest dude. He's got to get better at blocking, his handwork, his catching, things that, a young tight end can work on and get better. He's only 26 years old, 6'4", 245, so not the biggest dude. But as I just mentioned, he is that receiving type tight end and a crowded room there in LA. So for him to be able to get those 5 catches, 78 yards, that's great. 15.6 yards per reception. Take it all with a grain of salt. It's a small sample size, but that's good. 6.4 yards after contact per reception. That's great too. A broken tackle in there, no drops, no fumbles. And I'm just looking at this kid's upside and his price tag. So I mentioned it earlier in the show. I think that the Eagles should just look to go get themselves someone in the draft. It doesn't have to be, one of your top 5 picks even, but I think that we should emphasize that position. I think you should bring back Jack Stoll. But if you give me, Calcaterra and Hopkins with another guy competing, I'm all about it. I want to see this room upgraded. And I know, those guys aren't going to be on most people's lists because this is not a top, 17 list. Who are the best? You already know who the best are. You can make your own opinion on that. I'm telling you who I think my best fits are. It's my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion, though. Do you agree with the top 3, the top 5? How do you have your top 10, whatever it may be? I would love to hear from you. But been a long day, going to be a very long day tomorrow. But I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow during Fan Friday Live, baby. Let's go. So I'll be taking all your questions, all your comments. We're going to get that post out, taking all those mailbag questions. Let's go, baby. It's sicko season. So I hope you're enjoying this free agent series. We're now through the tight ends. We got offensive line left on the offense. Then we're going through the defense. And don't worry, we'll hit up the special teams as well. You'll get all of the free agents in the NFL right before it gets started. Then we'll have a recap video talking about all my top picks and all the great stuff we can talk about before free agency. So that's all I've got for you tonight. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. You can always subscribe to the channel. I am always down to talk some birds. So leave a comment. Let's talk, baby. Let me know how you're feeling about the tight end position. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all have yourselves a great night. Stay safe out there. And as always, say it with me from home now, kids. Go Birds!